Skipping Through Theatre podcast with Nathan and Maddie.
Welcome back to the Skipping Through Theatre podcast. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Nathan.
Today we are joined by actor Joseph Millson, who's done a bit of everything from stage to screen, Shakespeare to modern drama.
We are so excited to speak to him today about the roles that stay with you, the work in between, and whatever else comes up. Joseph, thanks for being here.
My absolute pleasure.
Let's go back a bit. What got you into acting in the first place?
Ooh, okay. Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's quite a story. I was not a stage-struck nipper. It came to me quite late. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I grew up in like a little tiny country pub in the flat above a pub. And then, like 11 years old, I moved to a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. And so it really, and my family, you couldn't be further from this business. So I didn't know it was a thing. And now, trust me, this is the short story. There was nowhere to work as a teenager. You had to get on your bike and ride 3 miles in one direction. There was a shop. 3 miles in another direction. There was a couple of pubs. Wow. You know, there was a small town here. Weirdly, there was this thing called a theatre, which I knew you could get work at. Now, but it never crossed. So from about age, like God knows what, early doors, teenage or younger, I worked at a beautiful theatre called the Watermill Theatre near Newbury in Berkshire. But it was just kind of somewhere to work. It never really crossed my mind to watch the show. And I, you know, car park attendant, toilet cleaner, you know, whatever, working in the bar. Anyway, I then progressed to being like a stage manager and building the sets just because I was quite handy.
Ooh,
and honestly, I worked one summer on a musical called The Card, as in like, I was like the backstage general dog's body. And the actors and actresses in that particular show, by that time I was like 17 and I was quite a naughty boy. I'd sort of been kicked out of school and, you know, but they sort of adopted me, these actors, and they were the first actors I ever spoke to, that company. And a couple of them said, "Hey, you should be an actor." And I said, I can't. They said, "What do you mean you can't?" I said, "Well, I don't have any family in the business." And they said, "You don't have to have family in the business." I said, "Oh, I thought you were all like," and honestly, then I sounded like this, like a proper farm boy. I thought you had to be like, it was like the circus and you had to, you're all related. They thought I was hilarious. They said, "Why did you think we were related?" I said, "Because you all go around hugging each other and calling each other darling." I thought you were family. Anyway, a couple of those actors saw something in me. It's quite extraordinary. And basically taught me audition speeches, more or less drove me to London and pushed me through the doors of drama schools. And wrote letters on my behalf. And because I didn't know how hard it was to get into drama school, I got into every drama school I went to because I wasn't nervous. And I think the auditioners saw something really unique. They were like, "Who is this farm boy who's just turning up here and doesn't seem to give a crap, but is also, you know, can speak, can stand there, looks all right." Anyway, so the weird truth is I got into acting at drama school. And whereas most people get into acting, then fight their way to get to drama school, I sort of just found myself at drama school and then went, "Oh my God, I love this," once I was there. So God bless, may I name check them. One of them is dead now, John Savardon. The other is very much still around. It's a wonderful old actress called Judith Barker, who I owe everything to.
It really shows like how much like when you are in theatre, everyone's just like a big happy family. They're all out for each other though. And they just look after each other.
Yeah, they really do. Like they really did see something in this. I had no prospects. You know, I was just looking at manual labor for the rest of my life, really, or worse. It's extraordinary, really. Yeah.
And was there a moment where it started to feel like a real career rather than just something you love doing?
Yeah, I'm not plugging it, but please do read it if anyone wants to. I wrote a memoir about the first 10 years of my career, which sold really well. It was a #1 bestseller called Work and Other Four-Letter Words, because I had a very tough, slow, strange, weird and comical beginning to my career. So it actually was quite a while. It was many, many jobs in before I believed I might get away with doing this for the rest of my life. Every single, I was waiting for the metaphorical tap on the shoulder, like, oh, sorry, not you, you've got to go home, for years. And I guess there's never a time when you're secure. I still have massive periods out of work, but there are moments where I think even like early on, I got a big TV job after a few years, but even then, yes, there's a few pounds in your bank account, but there's no guarantee of anything. It's happened, honestly, right now is my 30 years of being a professional actor anniversary.
Wow.
This year. And honestly, it's only recently that I've really, really trusted it. Or it's taken my children growing up and leaving home and that responsibility. I think once I now can just breathe out a bit about having to provide every bit of food and clothing and comfort for my children, that they can do that a bit for themselves. So now I'm back to looking after myself, really. Of course, I'm still there for them, but essentially, I've done that massive undertaking for 20 years. And now I'm free to, and I feel like, if all I've got to do is pay for a roof over my head and the food on my plate, I think, and also I'm never shy. I think it's one of your questions in a minute, but I'm never shy of doing other jobs. I'll talk about them if you want, but I'm never shy of doing all sorts of strange things to pay the rent.
Yeah, that's quite freeing though, because like you don't have that, what's it called? Like you don't have that pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a certain kind of pressure as well. When I teach in drama schools, my favorite thing to do is teach people just about to leave. So third year students just about to leave, and people are all worried, and they've got all sorts of concerns. And I always get people to put their hands up. I say, who's got children? And sometimes you do get a 21-year-old who's got a kid. It does happen less and less. And I say, all right, great. Who's got a mortgage? Who owns it? And if it's RADA, sometimes there's a few people, but generally nobody has a mortgage to pay. I said, okay, here's the deal, guys. Your only real responsibilities are roof over your head and food on your plate. Until you've got kids or a mortgage, there is no excuse. There are enough fringe theatres. You can make movies on your iPhones. You can do it. You can be a moving target and keep doing things and just do other work, any work. The worst day job on earth is okay if you know what dreams you're chasing. So it's fascinating. But I'm still in that world. I mean, I just got paid yesterday for something, actually. Friday.
Yes.
Like I've just had a couple of months where I'm like as poor as I ever was as a student again. Okay, we're still in that world. Okay.
But it's nice that you're able to like offer the advice, because especially because you've been doing it for like such a long time, you've built up that experience, and you're able to offer that to other people who are just starting out their acting career.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. Yeah, that's why I do a lot of teaching, and I wrote my book specifically for that type of audience, really.
Is there a role that stuck with you for like whatever reason?
Oh, wow. You guys sent me the questions, which I normally just wing it, but I thought, let's have a look. And I still haven't got an answer for you, because I have been incredibly lucky and fortunate to play incredible roles on stage, screen, radio, wherever. And it's very hard to pick favorite children, as it were. So I think the answer is it's a bit, sometimes if you're lucky enough to have a very varied career like I have, like one of my agents called me the busiest unknown actor in the world, but I think of jobs and roles that I play almost more like places I've visited, or worlds I've visited and stayed in for a while. So the memory, what's left on your heart and soul after years and years and years, are a bit like if you guys were to think about great holidays you've had or disastrous holidays you've had. The way those memories stick to you is very like how the memories of playing certain roles are. I mean, I do have amazing things. This Christmas, I'm going back to the Royal Shakespeare Company to do a part that has haunted me for years in the nicest way. it's called The Forsyte Saga, and it was a set of beautiful books. And years ago, 10 years ago, I played the lead character on Radio 4, you know about radio drama stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I played the lead role in a radio drama that, I mean, we recorded it on and off for years. It was so epic. It was like 17 hours of radio drama.
Wow.
And I loved playing that role, but it was on the radio. And then a year ago, I ended up playing it on stage, and I never thought I'd get to play him on stage. The character was Holmes, and we did it at the little Park Theatre in Finsbury Park, and it was such a hit that the Royal Shakespeare Company have bought it, and we're going to the Royal Shakespeare Company this Christmas. So there's something about the character of Soames in the Forsyte Saga that has sort of like stuck onto me like a bit of sellotape.
Yeah.
So I'm going to choose Soames in the Forsyte Saga.
Yeah. And I heard you were also in James Bond and Doctor Who. What's that?
Yeah. I've been in, what's crazy is those sort of Comic-Con things. I've been in all the universes you'd want to be in. You know, I was in an amazing James Bond film. I did 2 series of the Sarah Jane Adventures, the Doctor Who spin-off, and I've also done Doctor Who audio dramas. And I've been in the Star Wars universe, the Marvel universe, all of these things.
Oh my gosh.
In a little way in all of them. But the James Bond one was amazing. It was a long time ago. It's my first film, really, and it was just extraordinary. And I only had a few days on it, and I had a great stunt to do, and I managed to break my collarbone doing it. So I told you a little strange bit of trivia. If anyone like your dad, you said, likes these films, if you rewatch Casino Royale, I have like a minute and a half in it. But if you look at my one close-up of my face, look closely at my eyes, you can see, I think, that I was sort of off my face on painkillers, because when I did my close-up, I'd already broken my collarbone really badly. But they had no time. They were like, just give him the drugs, tape him up, get in front of the camera. And so, that's all I see when I see that, is my eyes, to me, look a little bit...
How many takes did it take?
Oh, I mean, you only ever get a few. Even on most films, it's very rare to go beyond 3 or 4 takes of anything. Yeah. So we did the main stunt. I only did twice, and the first time I hurt myself, but I didn't tell anyone. I thought, okay, and then I did it again, and on the second one, I heard a crack, and I went, oh, okay.
Ow.
Yeah.
Ow.
My friend is a massive fan of Doctor Who, so that must have been really fun.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. I mean, really amazing. I knew I was very aware of it all at the time anyway, because David Tennant's one of my oldest friends from theatre we did together way before he did Doctor Who, and Russell T Davies, you know, who created the new Doctor Who universe, and Phil Collinson are dear old friends, and it was a really joyful thing. I'd have done it forever, but there were various reasons. And then, of course, lovely Liz Sladen, who played Sarah Jane Smith, died. So that was the end of that. Yeah.
So is it usually the role itself that lingers, or the people, or maybe the time in life you're in?
Oh, wow. What a great question, Nathan. All of the above, or only, it really depends. Horses for courses. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other. I always find, people-wise, you can never keep... If I was still friends with all of the people I'd ever worked with, as in like texting buddies, I would never be off my phone. I've now done, 80 theatre jobs, 60 TV jobs, 30 films, about 100 radio dramas, and God knows how many other bits and bobs. And
that's crazy.
So, you can't keep up with everyone, but it's funny, every job... And it's quite often not the person you think, but there's usually a keeper. There's one person, one or two people that end up sticking in your life as real friends. I mean, what I think about anyone I've worked with, though, anyone, it's like being in the army. Like, if you went over the trenches and out into gunfire with people, you'd be bonded with them for life. And I think anyone you do theatre with, they're brothers of mine, really, and sisters of mine, because we've been through that crazy thing together. But there's always one or two special keepers.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone talks about the work, but what? Oh, sorry.
What happened?
I keep stuttering.
That's all right. I used to do that a lot.
No, but it's such a big problem. When I get nervous, I stutter loads.
Listen, my son used to have a bit of a stammer, and listen, it just clears itself up. It really does. You're doing great. You're amazing. No one would ever know. And also, we all do it. I mean, I can go in front of 1,000 people and play Hamlet happily. But if you put me on stage as Joseph Millson in front of people, I go bright red, and I sometimes stammer and trip over my words. That's why I'm an actor. I like to have a script, or like a clear situation to improvise. But being yourself in front of microphone or camera is very scary. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's not good at school though, because like when we have to read pieces and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm going off track. Sorry.
Come on, question.
All you can do is have a go. All you can do is try.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Everyone talks about the work, but how do you deal with the time between jobs?
Aha, another fantastic question. Well, I have things to say on this. As they say, I have a bit of a soapbox, a sort of thing I like to. Positivity about this that I like to preach to younger actors. And so firstly, like I said, you've got to be absolutely okay doing anything to pay your rent and pay your bills, right? I recently retrained as a carer for the elderly, so that between jobs, that's what I tend to do, between acting work, and it's wonderful and rewarding and great. But I've worked in cocktail bars. I've worked at am I allowed to advertise? I don't mean to, but I've worked at Aldi for a while. I love that. You could just do anything. I think it's really important for young actors to learn to write drama. Now, what the important thing is not to think of that as a career thing, but to just write to stay sane. When you haven't got a job, you still need to be creative. And the tricky thing about acting is it's unlike any other art form. You can't do it on your own. Yeah. So I've really encouraged every actor I know to start writing little short stories, little short films, plays. You don't have to perform them. You don't have to get them made. You don't have to worry about becoming a successful writer. It's like separate that. It's just about a creative output that you can do. If you've got a pen and a paper or a laptop, you can write things. And I tell you, the week where you spent a couple of hours in a cafe writing some silly short story compared to a week where all you did was wait for the phone to ring and wait for the emails and nothing's coming in and no auditions. It's such a better week. So that is how I stay sane. I've become a writer and director, but it's not really a career thing. I do it because I'm in charge of when I do it. And that is so brilliant as an actor, to have a bit of your life you're in control of. And it's gone a bit bonkers. I've written and directed a few little weird things. And now I've done a feature film, which is coming out in September, called Signs of Life. It's coming out in cinema. And that's been amazing. And I still don't really, I'm trying not to treat it as a career thing, but it's accidentally gone really well.
Yeah.
So what helps you to stay connected to the work during the quiet stretches?
Well, everything I've just said. Sorry to sort of send you back to the previous answer, but that is the answer. When things are quiet as an actor, I just divert the same bit of me. And trust me, storytelling is storytelling. Everyone who has acting instincts can also write stories, whether it's film, theatre, or just stories and books and short stories. So that is my massive tip. And you don't have to show anyone. Right? Yeah. But for yourself, writing is a lifeline. And you don't even have to be able to spell well these days. You can write it out badly and then put it all through a spell checker. It's amazing.
Yeah. Are there any moments, not big shows or roles, just like little things, that have really stayed with you?
Yeah, wow. Well, not to be too poetic, but like I said, jobs I've done are like places I've visited. And sometimes it's the strangest little moments that you remember that aren't even on stage. Sometimes there'll be a quick change, which, say you do a show for 100 performances, right? For the first 25 performances, you're just busy trying to get this quick change done. And then gradually you realize, it's fine. I'm not even in a rush. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then you do it on your own, and you'll find that these backstage moments where you do the same thing every night and you get into a certain habit and there's a shape to your performance, that the little strange things you do backstage become really beautiful and important to you. I remember doing Mary Poppins in the West End, playing Mr. Banks. And there was a bit in the second half where I'd be on my own in a little tiny rubbish falling apart corridor backstage that had a broken mirror, and I had to make myself look all messed up just before coming back on stage. And it was a little private moment that I never see, and you can hear the show going on, and it never wasn't magical, that moment. And I was always aware of how lucky I was, and I'd look in the mirror and sort of talk to myself and go, look what you're doing. And those little, so funnily enough, the bits that stay with you quite often aren't in front of the camera or on stage.
Yeah.
I'd say that's like such a nice realization moment as well, being like, wow, I really am here. I'm really in the moment.
Yeah. And otherwise you can finish an amazing experience and not remember it because you were too busy being worried about it, or you were too stressed about being good or something. You've got to actually stop and notice where you are sometimes.
Embrace the moment. Embrace it.
Yeah.
Or something you've learned the hard way.
Oof. Wow. Blimey. So I've only learned things the hard way. I've just banged my head 3 times for every learning thing, and then but yeah, it's not personal. I tell you what, I'd say that this is a phrase I tell myself and others, with the weirdness of being an actor. Do you want the good news or the bad news?
A bit of both. Let's have a bit of both.
Got to choose.
Good.
Which one do you want
Okay.
first?
Okay.
Let's go bad. Get it over and done with.
Okay, the bad news is nobody's watching you. Nobody cares about your career. Do you want the good news?
Okay.
Yeah. Love the good news.
Nobody cares about your career.
It's so true though.
Yeah, you don't. It's only you that's worried that you didn't get that job, or that you didn't get a good review here, or da-da-da. No, actually, nobody. There is no mythical person keeping score of how you're doing, other than you. And so you are allowed to say, "Well, I did my best. It's going okay," or you're allowed to celebrate when you get things. You can't wait for other people to celebrate you. It's just you. And that includes you. If you're lucky enough to have supportive parents and friends, don't rely on them. Good news or bad news, it's just yours. It's just yours. It's a very personal thing.
Yeah, because they're busy working on their own career as well.
Yeah. So nobody cares about you. That is good news. That is good news and bad news.
The best advice so far.
Good.
Okay, let's start to wrap up. But before we go, anything you've been thinking about lately when it comes to acting or the theatre world that you would like to say out loud?
Let's all just look after each other. I think a lot of your guests have probably said this, but it's a very tricky time we live in. And really tiny acts of kindness can make a huge difference. Whether you're doing youth theatre or professional theatre or anything, let's not be so eager to be offended. Let's really look after each other.
Yeah, because I really feel like kindness is it's like gone down in this world. And it's just so sad because people are just so judgmental and
that I tell you what's a sign, the older I get, the people who wind you up and you think, I don't like them. I dare you, let them be the people you offer kindness to. The very people who are winding you up a bit, or you think they're not very nice, they've probably got stuff going on themselves. And weirdly, it's a radical act, but and by being kind, just offer them a bit of whatever you're offering other people, or you'd be surprised, little tiny things. Oh, and generally pick up a piece of litter every day. That's my big advice for life. You feel good about yourself.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been so great to hear from you.
Pleasure.
It's been so nice talking to you.
Good. Well, you're brilliant. You guys are doing great.
Thank you so much.
All right.
We'll be back soon with more conversations from the wings, the stage, and everything in between. Make sure you follow and share to your theatre friends.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Skipping Through Theatre podcast with Nathan and Maddie.